Hello everyone, Jennifer here from Gaiantheos Coaching and Education. I am a psychedelic integration coach and I'm returning again to YouTube today to talk about one of my favorite topics, cannabis, and specifically continuing on about the endocannabinoid system. So in my last YouTube video, I explained a basic introduction to the endocannabinoid system. This is our kind of a master regulatory system in our body. We each have it, and it regulates every other system in our body. The more we learn about it, the more we find out that it is kind of a master control system in our body. And it is working always to harmonize and regulate every other system and kind of keep our whole body in balance. And it produces these cannabinoid-like molecules that work in the body very much like cannabis. And this is why cannabis is such an amazing medicine for us, because it supports the system which supports the rest of our body and all other systems. So today I want to talk about what happens when the endocannabinoid system is malfunctioning or not working so well. All right, so if you can imagine a major regulatory system in our body kind of going a little off kilter, you can imagine it impacting, every other or any other system in the body, in which case you might, now listening to this, be able to imagine some pretty random and weird symptoms coming up. And historically in medicine, these have been the disorders and irregularities that doctors in modern medicine have often not been able to explain, right? Because we've only known about the endocannabinoid system for about 30 years now, which sounds, like maybe half a lifetime for some people. And yet in terms of all of medical knowledge, it's really recent. So I'm going to read a few things here like this. These are the kinds of things that the research have shown, kinds of disorders and issues and ailments that the research has shown happens and shows up when our endocannabinoid system is malfunctioning. All right, probably won't be surprised while you hear this. Anxiety, depression, headache disorders, seizure disorders, cardiovascular diseases, autoimmune diseases, treatment-resistant chronic pain. Hello, looking at you, fibromyalgia, metabolic issues, like diabetes and obesity. Yep. A lot of shame around that. We blame ourselves, right? What if it's our body actually malfunctioning? All of the premenstrual syndrome, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, the really extreme perimenopause and menopausal symptoms. What if women just didn't have to take that as a matter of just what happens in life? Chronic nausea and motion sickness, amazing. Eating disorders, and this has even been implicated in with autism, schizophrenia, multiple sclerosis, Huntington's disease, and Parkinson's. Incredible, huh? Let that sink in for a little while. Okay, so let's take a little closer look at kind of a finer nuance of what we're looking at here. So Dr. Ethan Russo, a medical doctor who is a cannabis research pioneer, he coined the term endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome. This is when our body is not producing enough endocannabinoids, our endogenous cannabinoids. These are the molecules that are cannabis-like that our own body produces. And when we're not producing enough of them, he found a kind of a first trifecta of commonly occurring treatment-resistant disorders that showed up. He found this trifecta to be irritable bowel syndrome, migraines, and fibromyalgia. And someone could have all three or two or one of those, right? How many of us have struggled with one or more of those? Irritable bowel, migraine, or fibromyalgia. All right. And then, once that cascade begins, you can imagine in how many directions it can go from there in terms of dysfunction in the body. And this deficiency they have found to be both genetic and acquired, meaning, environmental factors in life could cause it as well as our being born with it. So since then, likewise now, so that was endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome, when we are not making enough endocannabinoids in our body. Since then, the research has found the opposite, right? Endocannabinoid hyperactivity disorder. And this is when our body is producing too many endocannabinoids, okay? And if you think cannabis gives us the munchies, right? If any of you have experienced that with THC, right? This is very similar in the body. Think about this. And cannabis is lipophilic, meaning it is attracted to and stores well in fats. Like it's, like we can make a tincture with oil and deliver cannabis into our bodies with a nutritional oil of some kind, and it binds really well to oil. So if you can imagine someone's body producing too many endocannabinoids in the body, and just like cannabis, these endocannabinoids, which are cannabis-like, are signaling hunger in the body, which causes someone to be hungry, which causes you to eat more, and then you have more fat cells, which store more endocannabinoids, which trigger more hunger, which trigger more the development of more fat cells. You kind of have this runaway train, right? And so we see in endocannabinoid hyperactivity disorder, we see disorders like obesity and diabetes. So, these are, this is like this vicious cycle that can happen. And, in our society, there's a lot of shame and blame around this, and how we treat people who are overweight and struggling with some of these issues. And we think of them, as being lazy or undisciplined or just simply addicted to food, and we blame them for it, even though addictions are deeper than that. And no one's helped by being blamed, right, or shamed. That's not the route. But if you can imagine, what if it's actually this master regulatory system in our body, our endocannabinoid system, that is malfunctioning? And what do we do, right? So amazingly, first of all, cannabis actually can help us, can actually treat this and help us through this. And especially starting with a microdose of CBD, can help rebalance, or at least begin to rebalance. And it's important because all of our endocannabinoid systems are different. Each one of us are unique, and so is our endocannabinoid system. And so it's important to track and not just think that, one cannabis that someone recommends will be the one that works for us too. You have to carefully track. But, beyond that, we're talking about our body and this amazing master regulatory system. And cannabis alone, of course, I wish it was just the miracle drug that did everything, but there is no miracle drug that handles every single thing, right? And so it's really important for this reason, if no other reason, to take care of ourselves. And so this is also why eating well, sleeping well, staying hydrated, moving your body, all of the things that promote good health, all right? This is not, this is not some breakthrough science here at this point. This is common sense, but also, like, if you can imagine it being not just for how you look on the outside, but imagine you taking care of your endocannabinoid system, perhaps with cannabis, and perhaps just all of the ways that we take good care of ourselves, in eating and drinking well and sleeping well if we can, which cannabis also helps us with. The vicious cycle in the right direction, in a healthier direction. So there's hope for us all, but also some amazing, eye-opening new revelations and research around the endocannabinoid system and these kind of myriad of disorders that the medical system has kind of faltered on, right? And not really been able to really find any traction with or good treatment for, and often ignored or just really, really failed at being able to identify and treat. And maybe, just maybe, it's because this endocannabinoid system in our body that we're, thanks to the changing laws, we're just beginning to really embrace again and know about. And it regulates every other thing in our body and every other system in our body. Maybe that's the clue. Maybe that's the answer. So I leave you with that to think about and to hopefully take good care of in your body. Even if you are somewhere in this country or in the world where you don't have access to cannabis, this is all the more reason to take good care of yourself so that your endocannabinoid system producing cannabis-like molecules in your body, right? You have your own internal cannabis if you're not allowed to legally access it where you are. You have your own internal cannabis. So think about that and take good care of that. Take good care of yourself. All right? Take care. Bye.